Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. This is episode 140 of the Seeking Sustainability Live series. And I'm really excited to have a near neighbor, Norman White from Shikoku. Thanks for joining, Norman.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's really nice.
It's so nice. Of course, I've cycled in Kagawa. You're based in Tokushima, not Tokushima, Takamatsu, is that right?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit of your backstory before we start?
Sure, sure. I came to Japan like a lot of other people do, just traveling and teaching. And I wound up in the restaurant business for about 15 years, running little Mexican restaurant, a pizza shop, this and that, and had a really good time. And I decided that I really wanted to do something in cycling because I've been cycling my whole life. So I decided about 3 years ago to start a little cycling business, more of just like a labor of love thing, of renting bicycles to people doing the 88 Temple pilgrimage. And it's been really fun, and it's turning into more cycle touring, and it's really great.
That's great. So I'm showing your website right now, Cycle Shikoku, and you run the business with your wife. Is that right?
Yes, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Cycle Shikoku, and my wife is a bicycle mechanic and works in a bike shop, and she drives the van when we do support, and she's really great. She's just a bucket of sunshine. She's Everyone loves her. She's great. You'll meet her in just a minute.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm hoping she can pop in and say hello. You also mentioned to me that she is an expert on the best snack shops, which is so important when you're cycling. I love, I love stopping for snacks.
Yeah, we when we do supported tours, we have snack stops where she puts out tables and tablecloths and sports drinks, bananas, the ever needed Kit Kat in many flavors. Um, and yeah, she's like Pavlov's dog. When people see her, they start drooling because they know food is coming.
That's awesome. I love that. Also, you guys are, well, you are on TV. Tell me about your TV presenter job.
Yeah, it's just local TV in Tokushima. When I was running my first sandwich shop, they asked to come and do an interview in the shop. And so they did, and they asked me to do a little English corner. So for about 15 years, I've been doing an English corner, just 5 minutes on this news program. Then I tell some corny jokes and some Japanese puns and that kind of thing. But it's really fun.
Tell it. Can you tell us one? Tell us a little joke or pun.
Joke from uh, Hisashi Burifu. Not good. It's not good.
So it's more of the oyaji gag type of
Oh,
like the old
yeah,
man's joke than the
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I was talking to a comedian the other day, a stand-up comedian who started a comedy club in Fukuoka, Ali Horn, and he does a podcast with another comedian, Bobby Judo, in Japan. So I was talking to him the other day, and like to me, the whole idea of comedy in Japan is so difficult cross culturally, right? So to make I can do that kind of oyaji gag, right? Like if I had a student who came late and her name was Nozomi, then I would say, "Oh, is she still on the Nozomi, the Shinkansen?" And the other students would laugh. I mean, I can do that kind of humor. But actually like telling stories which are funny and stuff in Japanese is really hard, isn't it?
It's difficult, and I've done some stand-up comedy here in Japan also, but only in
Oh,
English. I
you
haven't
did?
done Japanese yet.
Yeah, yeah. It seems difficult crossover sometimes. You
Yes,
also are a representative for Grasshopper Tours. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
yes, yes, yes. Grasshopper Adventures is the largest cycling touring company in Asia, and it's owned by an Australian. And basically every country in Asia, you can get guided tours, or now there's a new tour called a self-guided tour where we just support you and you go on your own with a GPS tracker. But yeah, it's a great great company. A lot of our customers are average age around 60. They're retired. They have time. They have a little extra money, and they really, really take care of you. And there's tours in Japan that start in Kyoto, and then they do a circle of Shikoku, and it's just they take all the difficult parts of getting around Japan out, and they just let you ride.
That's nice. So they have like entirely self-catered, like including the round trip airfare. So it kind of takes all the worry out of booking a tour. And then you guys just handle the cycle portion, is that right?
Yes,
The
yes.
cycle
The
and
only thing they
touring.
don't pay
Yeah.
for the airline. You pay your own airline, but everything else, 3 meals a day, nice hotels, all the snack stops are decided. A lot of tourism stuff along the way. It's just really you ride 60 to 80K a day, really easy.
So I'm looking at the two tours on the Grasshopper Tour website, which are in Shikoku. It looks like you start in Hiroshima and end in Shiga for one of them, and then you start in Onomichi on the e-bike tour and end in Tokushima. So, yeah, really interesting routes. A lot of Seto Naikai views.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's just really we get people from all over the world, and they're just blown away by the views of Shikoku. Uh, our main domestic tour ends in Onomichi, but some start in Onomichi, some end in Onomichi. They used to end in Hiroshima, but sometimes that kind of bummed people out going to the museum, which I'm a big fan of that museum. But now they go on their own. Most of them come to Japan for 2 weeks. They stay with us a week to 10 days, and then they go on their own trip, Tokyo, Hiroshima, Osaka, what have you. Really fun.
So also for your tours that you do, you talk about point of access, like you can go and meet people where they are. So where do you find people who want to cycle around Shikoku? Where do they use as their point of access? Do they fly into Fukuoka or Osaka or all over?
Good question. For my Asian customers, which would be Hong Kong, Singapore, Shanghai, they fly directly into Takamatsu.
Okay.
And I have some people that fly into Tokushima, or they come, we meet them in Onomichi, um, that kind of thing. For the people doing the 88 temples, it starts in Tokushima and finishes in Kagawa. So I can do a bike drop there. So I meet them with all the gear, and then very importantly, I take their suitcase and hold it for them, because that's a big issue now. When people are traveling, they want somewhere they can leave their suitcase until the end.
Yeah. I have to shout out to Tina McCartney of Wheel Woman. This is her awesome cycle jersey. Thank you, Tina.
Cool.
And yeah, she and Paul Walsh, my husband, who know the Shimanami Kaido really well, they've had a few lives in the series. And one of the big hurdles for visitors is suitcases and your travel case for your bike, and putting it somewhere when you're not using it. How do you transport it to where you need it? It could be a little bit easier. It sounds like the infrastructure is a little bit hard. So if you guys take care of that for cyclists, that's a big help.
Yeah, yeah, that is a big issue. The only issue is we're not allowed to charge money to keep things, because then you need like 8 different licenses, hazardous materials, and this. So if you hold someone's suitcase for free, then you don't need all these licenses.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. You just have it as part of your added value for your services, I guess, right?
Yeah, and we make sure people don't have any valuables in there. We say no cameras, no money, just clothes and shoes, and we wrap it up and seal it in a plastic bag, and they get it back signed. We've never opened it.
Wow. Awesome. I'm showing a map of your area, so you can see Hiroshima, Okayama, Kyoto, Hyogo Prefecture, Kagawa is right on the top of Shigoku there, and Tokushima just below you, and Ehime on the left of you. So most of your cycling tours around Shikoku would be in the Seto Naikai area around the water or nearby prefectures. Is that right?
Yes, yes. And the best way to get around Shikoku is starting and going clockwise. So starting in Takamatsu, starting in Tokushima, and going clockwise around the ocean due to the local winds. And there are a few factories between Takamatsu and Imabari. There's a few factories, paper factories, that are a little bit smelly. So we try to avoid those.
Yeah, I hate that. I lived in Kyushu near a paper factory, and I didn't realize, but I did a lot of running around there as a I was a triathlete. I know you're a triathlete too,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't realize all my training around the paper factory, I developed asthma over 3
Mhm.
years. But I didn't realize the connection, right? So definitely air pollution could be improved, and you don't want to stick around that too much longer than you need to, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Wow, you did triathlon. That's great.
I did. I just started when I was in Kyushu in Japan. It was a great way to see the country because we would drive to these rural areas, do triathlons in the rural area. So it's kind of like a really nice way to go to do tourism around Japan and sightseeing and meet local people. And then while you're doing the cycling portion of the triathlon, you can see the whole area. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, it's really great. Have you been to Miyakojima in Okinawa?
I didn't go to Miyakojima, but I went to the ladies triathlon in Amami-Oshima a couple times.
Ah,
I love
wow,
that.
good,
Yeah. But I've
nice.
yeah. Did you do much triathlon around Japan?
Yeah, I went a lot of places, and then I went down the Ironman road, and I did Ironman in Korea. I did the Ironman in Miyakojima 3 times,
Wow.
and you get older, you get a little chubby, and then I'm taking a break from Ironman now. Reiko, she wants to talk to you in a minute.
Hi Reiko, can you say hello? We just want to see your face and meet you quickly. We have so
Good morning.
many cute Hi Reiko-san. Thank you for joining. We hear that you are the snack queen,
No, the
right? That
snack,
you were
Thank
the snack
snacky,
queen.
snacky.
Yeah. So important for cyclists.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Reiko. Have a good day.
you.
Also, I saw on Instagram and Facebook your son is also into cycling. Is that right?
Yeah, my son is actually out your way. He's in Hiroshima University right now.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, my son is 18, just finishing high school. So I think our kids are very similar
Sim
generation.
is
That's
one
nice.
year ahead of you. He'll be 19 next month.
Nice.
He's skinny. I
Yeah,
used to be so skinny, and he's skinny, so he just kills me on the climbs.
I know. 18-year-olds, like 18, 19, they're in the prime condition. Like, good for them. I just cheer them on and be like, yeah, I will drive the support vehicle. I can't keep up anymore. But he's still nice. He'll still start and finish with me at places or, wave me on.
Yeah, for triathlon, I was always training with people faster than me, so they were always waiting for me. I was a
Yeah.
swimmer, so the swim part is easy.
Oh,
The uh,
yeah.
the run part's rough.
My husband also did Ironman. We ended up in Hawaii
Oh,
for one of the big races. Yeah.
wow, unbelievable.
That's why our son's middle name is Kona.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, really
Really,
cool.
I trained for about 4 years to qualify for Hawaii, and that's just so hard. What age group is your
Yeah.
husband in?
He that was a long time ago. So almost 20 years ago when he did Ironman. Um but now he doesn't do triathlon, he does trail races a lot.
Oh, that's tough. Those are tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about your services that you guys offer with Cycle
Sure,
Shikoku.
sure,
So
sure.
you
Great.
guys you guys will offer tours either with guides or on their own. Can we explain a bit about that?
Sure, sure. Well, on the base of the Cycle Shikoku business is you can show up just with a suitcase and maybe some riding clothes. We are going to give you a bike, mostly flat bar like touring bikes. a bike, helmet, lock, lights, and we rent pannier bags, waterproof pannier bags. And you load up the bags, you leave your suitcase with us, and you're off. And we also offer 24-hour telephone support. Like if you're checking in a hotel and you don't know what to do, or you're a little bit lost, or you're in a restaurant, or you have a flat tire. We have this a lot. People have flat tires and they don't know how to change a flat tire. We also rent Reiko bags, the bags to bring the bikes on the train. So some people will ride part of Shikoku and then take that little like Imabari to Takamatsu by train if they run out of time or it's a rainy day or something like that. And we're just here to offer a basically, what's the word, credit card camping kind of thing. And people do that just for cycling in Shikoku, or they do it for the 88 temples, which takes about 3 weeks by bicycle. The private tours we're doing, now they're mostly private guided tours where we set up a route or a route, and we follow them in a support car, and we book all the hotels. We make sure we find them places to eat, and just make it a little bit smoother. Because as you know, living in this country, sometimes it's an easy place to be, and it's an easy place to travel, but there are these little speed bumps.
Yeah.
Like people showing up without a card.
Yeah, it's always helpful if you have locals along the way, not just for language assistance, I find, but the cultural or local know-how is so valuable. Like knowing which places are more flexible. If you want a gluten-free meal, they can do it, or a vegan meal. Which places, which bike shops to go to, which are more friendly and helpful, right? It's just that local knowledge is so valuable. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure you feel the same thing. We want international tourists to have a really good time here and not struggle. And there are some things that can just really make you struggle, like how to get your bike away from the airports is sometimes a big issue.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about repairs, because you talked about a lot of people will have problems with the repairs. I saw an amazing repair you did the other day with a 1,000 yen note. Tell me about Tell me
Oh,
about that.
yeah, it's
Wow.
very rare, but sometimes you have a sidewall blowout. Yeah, if you blow out your sidewall, you're basically done. And most people don't carry extra tires. You have extra tubes, but if your sidewall blows out, you're done. So you can put a candy wrapper, a power bar wrapper, or a 1,000 yen note wrapper inside between the tube and the sidewall. And that got me, I wrote 50K on that.
So then you would stuff the paper in and repump it up and then be able to ride on it, you mean?
Yes. So between the tube and the tire lining. And
That
it
is
doesn't always
amazing.
work, but that day it worked.
That was great. Good, quick repair. I was out on a ride the other day with another woman who was in the series who rides a lot around Hiroshima, Reika. And one of the women in our group had a flat tire. And luckily we had a local guide who helped her repair it and fix it really fast. But it's ridiculous how, you don't practice that. So even if you learned it years ago, it might be something that'll take you a long time to figure, even if you have the stuff, right? So it's always good, like Tina says, as at Wheel Woman, to just keep practicing that tire repairs so that when it happens, you can do it. And hopefully it won't happen. But if it does, you're ready.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love
Make
that
sure you have a
1,000 yen note. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't at the time. I didn't have a wrapper or anything. I was way out in the countryside, and I thought, well, we'll try the 1,000 yen note. And it did explode just 5K from my house again, and I had to go to the bank with a 1,000 yen note with a big hole in it. But
I heard a talk from bank people, and they said as long as you have 50% of the note, you can take it into any bank and they'll give you the money back. As long as
yeah,
50% is still there.
yeah, yeah. I think that sounds true. Yeah,
So as long as your hole wasn't bigger than 50%, that'll
yeah.
still work.
They had many questions, and I told them. They said we've never ever heard that before. But
No,
yeah,
that is a great story. I bet they could write a book with all the interesting stories that come back.
I might do that one day, or them. Yeah, they
Yeah.
should do that. Yeah.
I had a great one, great in terms of story now. Our 5-year-old was learning how to use scissors and went through my wallet and cut up, like, I think it was maybe 25,000 yen worth of notes, just
Oh no.
cutting cutting them into little pieces. So luckily I had all the pieces and I went to the bank and I said, I don't suppose you know, and they're like, what happened? I said, my kid with scissors. And they're like, yeah, no problem. All the pieces are here. They made it into a little jigsaw. Oh my gosh. So nice. Let's talk a little bit about some of the rides that you guys have on your YouTube page or Instagram page or Facebook page. For example, you had a great one in Ehime. Looks like a really challenging ride. Cycle Shikoku UFO line ride, Ehime.
Oh,
Tell me about that one.
good question. Yeah, that's on Mount Ichizuchi. That is technically the largest mountain in Shikoku. And there is a link road. I'm not sure why they call it the UFO line or the UFO line, but it goes up between a few peaks. It's not all the way to the top, but it's a couple thousand meters high. And it's a link road in the middle. It's really tough. It's got some dark tunnels, short tunnels, completely unlit tunnels, but it's real cycling mecca. And if you can go on a weekday, because the weekends are quite busy with cars and motorcycles. But we went on a weekday and wow, stunning. But like 20% climbs in areas, really tough.
Yeah, it looks like from your video, it looks like there was a lot of climbing, but that once you got to near the top, the views were just spectacular.
Oh, amazing, amazing view. It's a little bit windy up there and the weather changes really quickly. So luckily when we were there, it was cloudy in the morning and then it cleared up and it was just perfect at the top.
That's awesome. Is autumn a good time of year for that kind of ride, do you think?
Yeah, I think if you get into December, it's probably going to be too cold. But for us, our big cycling season, that's a good question. Our big seasons are October, November, and then Sakura season, obviously in late March, April, May are the big cycling seasons. Of course, not in Golden Week because you can't get a room. But yeah,
Right,
like
yeah.
the summer in the middle of winter, it's hard going.
Yeah. But I'm always impressed how even in December you can get quite warm, sunny days. It just depends, right? And then our weather in Hiroshima, which I'm sure is similar to Shikoku, usually January, February are the months you really are not that happy to be on the bike because
Yeah,
you get the cold rain. Yeah,
yeah,
not too fun.
that's tough. And when you start getting up at elevation, then that's when it really changes. Yesterday, we were riding in southern Tokushima, and it was like 12 degrees at the top of the mountain, and then we got to the ocean, it was 20. So
So layers. It's all about layers.
layers, exactly, exactly, layers.
I had a great talk the other day with a couple who cycled around Tohoku and just recently, and they were saying the same thing. Some days were absolutely freezing with rain, and the other days were really nice and sunny and warm. But it's all about layers, and a lot of the cycling jerseys are great because if you have a layer under it, you can stay pretty warm, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. You really can't, really can't. Sorry, let me get rid of that. Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, but yeah, the cycling season in the mild season, it's so good here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Now the leaves are falling, so you have to be a little bit careful coming down the mountains. And if the leaves get wet, it can be a little bit slippery. Yeah, I
yeah,
run wider tires in the winter just for that reason.
that makes sense. It looks like you guys, like you're wearing. Tell me about your shirt that you've got on.
Oh yeah, this is our thing, Cycle Shikoku, and it says Cycle Shikoku by bicycle, and has a map of the island. And these are I've noticed a lot of our people touring don't always wear cycling shirts, so I was going to make jerseys just like that beautiful one you're wearing. And I thought I'll make T-shirts first because some people wear t-shirts when they're riding and just cycling shorts or something. And it's quick dry. It's visible. Like I wanted to make a color where you can really stick out because, we have to be careful about you riding in the dark or getting hit by a car. So yeah, this is a new thing. We might make jerseys in the future, but for our guided tours, the Grasshopper Adventure tours, there's actually a different jersey for every country. So there's a Hokusai jersey. Reiko, what's this jersey, Aru? There's a Hokusai jersey for Japan. It's really cool. And if you use the company more than once, then you get a different jersey every time. So I've got a jersey for Cambodia, Vietnam, China. Really cool. Here, this is our Hokusai jersey.
Nice.
Yeah, really, really nice. Really nice thing.
And that's for the Grasshopper Tours, is it?
Yeah, Grasshopper Adventures, Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I also saw you've got so many beautiful photos on your Instagram next to shrines. Tell us about the red bridges along the trips and the red torii gates that you might see along some of your rides.
Yeah, in Shikoku, you're going to see more temples than shrines because of the 88 temple pilgrimage. But yeah, we try to stop at historically significant places, and we give just a basic breakdown because Japanese culture is very deep and it's difficult, and religion is difficult. So explaining too deep and people just a little bit glass over. So just like a typical thing, what's the difference between a shrine and a temple, and how can you tell when you roll up? And of course it's the torii gate, that kind of thing. And yeah, we try to stay off the main paths. We use smaller like farming roads because people don't want to cycle in traffic, right?
No fun. The rural areas are definitely more peaceful to cycle along and more beautiful, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
then you
you
get to
find,
on the side of the road.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, please.
no, go ahead.
You get to meet more people along the road if you're on a back street.
Yeah, for sure. And with the support vehicle is that just for larger groups that can have a support vehicle along? How does that work?
Well, the support vehicle is a daily fee, so it would probably be too expensive for two people. But it does two things. It helps you if you have trouble, and it has water and it has snacks. We also carry your suitcases, so you can have your suitcase every day. So we just had a group this weekend of 13 guys from Kobe, all expats, and we carried everything they needed. And when we got to the hotel, everything's there. So we can do it for small groups. We've done it for as few as 4. And that includes a support driver, Reiko, as a mechanic, and then me riding with them. Or some people want someone to ride with them. Some people do not. So in that case, we would just move your bag to the next hotel and help you get checked in. And then we drive the same course. So if you do have trouble, we're not really, really far away. So that would be more the self-guided version. So if you have a group of people that want to go all alone and at your own pace, we'll give you a GPS unit and we'll move your bag to the next hotel.
I think that's so handy to have a support vehicle, especially if you have a group or family cycling. Because Japan, for example, in Hawaii, if you have a bicycle, you can put it on the back of a bus. You can put it on a train in many countries without a bag. Japan is a little bit more difficult in terms of getting your bike around on public transport, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it looks like on the van, you can put bikes on top. You can take people around. You can carry their stuff so they don't have too much stuff to carry. I think that's a great service.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we're trying to do the best that we can because we just want people to enjoy cycling and enjoy this island. But as you know, everyone wants to do the Shimanami Kaido, so a lot of our tours start or finish on the Shimanami Kaido because it's a great way to start or finish. Reiko's going to work. Bye,
So,
Reiko.
Bye.
bye, Reiko. So for people who want to do the Shimanami Kaido, just briefly explain it to us. We've talked about it a few times on the series. Basically, it's a connection of bridges which connect different islands around the Honshu, Hiroshima area to the Shikoku Island area, right?
Yes. It's an island chain connected by bridges made perfectly for cyclists, with ways to get on and off the bridge without too hard. I think the hardest grade is about what, five degrees, and it starts on the island of Shikoku and finishes up in Hiroshima Prefecture, or the opposite. It links the two islands together. And I actually rode it the day it opened 21 or 22 years ago.
Wow, great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and they have a lot of cycling rental places there. What they don't have on the island chain is a train. So, yeah, it is hard to move your bikes, your own personal bikes, but they do have some services that you can just drop the bike on the other side. We do that for bigger groups, but if it's just one bicycle, it's hard for us to go and pick one up in Onomichi and come back. So do you live nearer to Onomichi or nearer to Hiroshima City?
We're in the city, but it's about an hour's drive to Onomichi, so it's not so bad.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. I was just, I took my son as a kind of congratulations on finishing his high school tests. I took him out to the big skate park in Fukuyama. So even though Fukuyama is in Hiroshima, it takes over an hour, like 90 minutes to get there. So it's, each prefecture has these things, right? Like you're closer to actually another prefecture sometimes than your own prefecture in terms of driving across. I'm sure you find that.
Yeah. We have some people. It's rare, but we've had people have mechanical troubles, and they're in southern Ehime, way out west, like Uwajima. And for me, that's a 4.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
But if we rescue, we go and get them, and because as a cyclist, if you're broke down on the road and someone helps you, they're a legend, right?
Yeah. Because you feel so desperate for help and you don't know what to do, right? So you also have road bikes that you could rent out to people if they didn't want to bring their own. Is that right?
Yeah, we've got a few road bikes, and we've got e-bikes as well.
Do you find that e-bikes are popular?
That's a good question. Honestly, myself as a pure cyclist, 3 or 4 years ago, I did not want to deal with e-bikes. But now I realize, like, Tina has a great e-bike. I realize sometimes there's couples where one of the husband or the wife is stronger, but the partner wants to go with them. And if they had an e-bike, they can ride at the same pace. And we've had people come back and said, I didn't like cycling, but I took an e-bike and I could ride with my husband for the first time, or with my wife, and it was a great experience, and they become more of a cyclist. So yeah, I'm on the e-bike train now.
Nice. And one thing I would like to see more of, which I heard is not legal in Japan yet, is tandem. Do you ever see tandems? No, right?
No, we've had customers that have come with their tandem bikes. You have to ride in the street because they're technically too long. But yeah, they don't sell tandems here. But you do see them, but it's very, very rare.
Yeah.
Something about them. Yeah, I think a bike can't be more than 2 meters or something.
Yeah. It's fun when you do see them because they're so unusual, right?
Yeah, very unusual. I'd like to get one myself for Reiko and I, but I'm a really big guy. I'm almost 2 meters tall. So it's hard.
But that's another way, like you said, with the e-bikes. Tandem is another way that couples can ride more easily together, right? And share the work.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. That's great.
Or in my case, let my husband do more work. And I can take photos and look around more.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I got to get a helmet cam. I have a camera that's mounted to the front, and I realized that your head is looking at all the interesting things. So I've got to
And
get a helmet one going on.
it's shaky. Yeah, Tina has a great video camera setup. I don't know if she's got helmet cam. Did you see the video where she's going through Melbourne, Australia, speaking in Japanese as if she's on the Shimanami? I love that video.
Yeah, I did see that. That was really well done.
So I have to get some tips about video camera work on a bicycle from her. She's the expert.
Yeah. I'm using the iPhone, the one of the Pro ones. So it's the image stabilization's pretty good, but it's on my chest. So I have to like move my chest around if I want to see interesting things.
Yeah, it's hard to know what the viewer can see, right? If you're just looking ahead and it's here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like another thing that you guys offer is like Shinto shrine experiences. Can you talk about that?
Oh, that was something we don't actually offer that. Oh, we go around to some shrines and stuff, and you go inside and you they teach you how to pray a little bit, and then they want you to try to write the prayer in kanji, but
Wow.
that takes a long time.
Yeah.
But we get to talk to the priest, or and yeah, it's just one of those little things that you can do off the beaten track. Interesting.
Yeah. And of course, I picked up that you went to Kamikatsu, which is in Tokushima. And I've been to Kamikatsu many times because it is the zero waste town, one of the most sustainable destinations in Japan. And you featured the Kamikatsu Rise and Win. Can you tell us
Yes.
about it? I've been there many times myself.
Wow, great. Yeah, Rise and Win in the town of Kamikatsu. We were just there 2 days ago with our cycling group. We made sure we had a loop through there and talked about how that town has basically zero emissions. And it's a great place, and their barbecue is surprisingly good. Their beer is good. And did they tell you that Rise, did they tell you why it's called Rise and Win?
I think so. I've interviewed the owners a few times. Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah.
You've been there more recently.
Yeah, the kanji for kamikatsu is the kanji for up or rise, and then katsu for win. So Rise and Win, easy name.
Yeah, and they actually have two breweries. They have Stonewall Hill, which is at the back of Kamikatsu. So they're doing two breweries the last time I visited, and they don't use waste. I don't know about the emissions, but the town is famous for being at 80% landfill diversion. So in the States, San Francisco, Seattle has Recology, like curbside pickup. They're doing 80% as well. There are few places around the world that are able to do this. Kamikatsu separates their garbage into 45 categories.
Wow.
Yeah. So usually when I tell people that in Japan, they're like, yada, no thank you. It's too much.
Yeah.
But if you're going to divert 80% of your waste away from landfill, I mean, that is kind of the aim we should all be going for. Of course, they make beautiful beer at Rise and Win. You can take your own container and refill it. So if you're cycling, you can take your own big container and keep it on your bike and then enjoy it later. A lot of people will fill up, and then later on they'll be camping and put the beer in a stream. And then when you're ready for dinner, then a good time to drink.
Wow,
of course, we
that's great.
got to be careful about encouraging people to drink while they cycle in Japan because there's technically zero tolerance, right?
Yes, we had Germans this past weekend, and they wanted beer for lunch, and they would not serve us, and they were a little bit upset. But we bought a case of beer, and that's another good thing about having a support vehicle. We bought a case of beer and put it in the support vehicle, and when they arrived at their hotel, the beer was there.
That's awesome. And you can take back the bottles next time and refill the same bottles again. So they have like a deposit system. So if it's one of your regular stops, definitely reuse the bottles is a good way to save money, but also reduce waste. I love that place. Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you notice the windows? Did they tell you about the windows, the building itself?
No. Go ahead, tell me about that. I know that they're recycled from somewhere.
So the whole town, different areas of the town is famous for reusing. So the designers and the owners work together to reuse a lot of windows that were from abandoned buildings around the area. So he was telling me, the owner was telling me, the designer was like, but they don't fit. They're not the same shape. Like, it's really hard to make that beautiful facade on the outside of the building, but the designers had to be really creative about how to fit it in, and they did it double layer because of the heat. It was too hot in summer, it was too cold in winter, so now they've got a double layer, which is good insulation. It's a fascinating place to get a tour if you ever have time, and you can book a tour, and somebody can do translation. The staff will tell you a lot about the building, how they make the beer from like local citrus peels and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. I've only seen the manager there. I've never actually talked. I mean, the owner. I've never talked to him personally. So I'll do that next time. That's a great idea. Thanks. I didn't actually
Yeah.
know that there was another brewery. I mean, they had another brewery place. And have
Yeah.
you
And
stayed at the hotel? Is the
I
hotel
have
good?
not stayed at the hotel yet, but I'm planning to go in a couple months. And I never thought about cycling there though. So now you've opened my eyes. Because going up to where Rise and Wind is, there's quite a hill from Tokushima, as I remember.
Yeah.
So I never thought about that. But of course, as you're going from Tokushima up to Kamikatsu, you see a lot of people doing the pilgrimage tour, right? Walking or cycling with the typical hats, right? And the staff going on their temple pilgrimage. So it is right in that area, and it's a really
Very rideable. Very
interesting town.
rideable.
Is it?
And if you think about it, if you ride out there, then on your way home, it's more downhill.
Yeah. There's, if you go into Kamikatsu next time, if you go up through the town, there's a beautiful rice terrace, which they're very proud of, which is hard to drive up to, but would be a great cycle. And then they have a fantastic Italian restaurant. They have a really good cafe, Cafe Polestar. So there's a few great things to discover in Kamikatsu. Highly recommended.
Yeah, that's quite the cycling mecca these days for Tokushima riders.
Oh, good. Good, good. And take your own bag, take your reusable container, of course, because they try to encourage zero waste. It's also a good place to pick up some free stuff. A lot of the cafes and stuff, they'll have like dishes and things that you can take for free because they're trying to get people to reuse old things, which nobody needs anymore. So there's a
Nice.
few really interesting things going on there.
Wow, I didn't know that at all. Wow, that's cool.
Okay, cool. Tina says, so many great breweries in Setouchi. I need to try every single one. Yeah, that's true. I mean, craft beer is becoming more popular in Japan for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. It really, really is. I'm glad to see it.
Yeah. Well, tell me next time you're going to Kamikatsu. Maybe I'll go and meet you there. I could give you
Sure.
a tour of the renewable and zero waste stuff, and you could encourage me to cycle around more.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. Okay, so let's talk about Takamatsu because you guys are based right in Takamatsu, right?
Yes, yes.
So, of course, taking short ferries to the islands nearby would be a great cycle trip from Takamatsu, wouldn't it?
Yes, yes. The ferries to Shodoshima and then the Art Island, Naoshima, Teshima. You just throw your bike on the ferry and they keep it down with the cars. It's a minimal fee to bring your bike on the ferry. Um, that's a great way to travel around. The ferry port's quite user friendly for cyclists. We also do a city tour in Takamatsu, downtown Takamatsu. We do a city bicycle tour that goes to some of the famous gardens, and that's where we go to the shrine. And we go to udon school. We make udon by hand. We make it from scratch.
Nice. And it looks like you have visited a beautiful waterfall in Tokushima. How far away is that?
Good question. That's after Kamikatsu. That's going up a really steep climb. And that's between Kamikatsu and Nakacho. There's an onsen out there called Momiji-gawa Onsen that we stayed at this weekend. And that's a huge waterfall, like maybe 15 meters tall.
It looks
Really, really,
beautiful.
but
And
very beautiful.
with the autumn
Yeah,
colors around it is
yeah,
gorgeous.
really, really nice. But it's after Kamikatsu, it's about a 15 or 20 kilometer climb. Tough.
That'll make your legs jelly like,
Yeah, yeah.
especially mine because I'm not into the training these days, but I'm trying to. Tina, I'm trying.
Yeah, we should go out. We should get Tina together and Reiko and you and maybe your husband and go out there and just ride it easy.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. I also saw you introduced a bike shop in Tokushima.
Yes, good one. That's Nakanishi Cycle in Tokushima City. They have been there for 100 and I think it's 108 years. Their third generation bike shop. They actually opened the third year of the Tour de France.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. He
And a
seems
lot
like
of,
a good guy. You introduced him in a video.
yeah, he's a big Hawaii fan as well.
Oh,
He
yeah.
speaks, some of his staff speaks English. He's right downtown. And for the people starting the 88 temples, it's a great place to just make sure your bike's in good nick and get on the road.
That's awesome. I love your benefits of cycling that you did on social media. Why cycle? And you were talking about reduces stress, diabetes, increases muscle tone, and then reduces roadkill. Saves the animals.
It does reduce roadkill. I don't think I've ever really killed. Yeah, I don't think I've had any roadkill on any rides.
No,
Maybe a
I
few
think
bees.
yeah, well, if it's already dead, but it would kind of wreck your bike, wouldn't it? Some of them are big, the tanuki and the wild boar here.
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of wild boar around our house.
Yeah, I bet. Tell me about the Awa Mountains. You had some beautiful pictures.
Our mountain. Sorry,
No?
I'm a little bit confused.
One of your Instagram posts, and it says Awa Mountains. Anyway, probably around you, around Tokushima, maybe on that Tokushima ride.
Oh, yes, yes. That's Mount Tsurugi.
Okay.
That's the biggest mountain in Tokushima. Sorry, I just had a little blank.
No.
And that's a mountain that you climb up, and then in the middle there's a ropeway that you take up to get to the tip top of the mountain. And we did that
Wow.
ride about a month ago, but that was about 36 kilometers straight up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a hard one, but very, very beautiful. And the people in, yeah, there are two big mountains in Shikoku, Isuzuchi-san, and then one's Mount Tsurugi. Uh, yeah, that's worth going to, but in the summer, so it'd be the top would be closed down now because it's gonna start snowing soon.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And I think I've heard that from a few real, like serious cyclists who do Shimanami Kaido is they kind of complain that it's too easy, that there's not enough like big climbs and stuff. It's more for people who aren't like amazing cyclists, I think. And then if you do want to do more cycling, once you do the Shimanami, you're in these beautiful mountains of Shikoku or beautiful mountains of Hiroshima. So there is a lot to extend your Shimanami, that's for sure.
Yeah, I really feel that Shimanami is great for beginners to get that first long ride in and see how that feels. And if it was too hard, it would turn people away, I believe. So,
Absolutely.
big thumbs up to Ehime Prefecture and Hiroshima Prefecture for putting that together and making, access for new cyclists because, you could almost do it on a city bike, couldn't you?
Yeah, and they rent out city bikes. They rent out electric bikes on either end, so they make it really accessible, even for people who don't normally cycle, like you said. So it's a great introduction to cycling, and to get people interested in cycling, which is wonderful.
Wonderful. And what a great way. You know, those islands were dying.
Yeah.
You know, no one was going there. And now they have tourism. They have, you know, nicer roads. It's really a win-win for everyone, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Whoever produced and designed it as a cycling tour, thank you so much for doing that. Tina says, in Australia, we sometimes get snake roadkill. Last year, I got a lizard. That is why cycling in Japan is so great. No snakes that might kill you. That's true.
Yeah, there's not a lot of snakes. There's some snakes, but they're not, you know, Australia has all the bad ones.
Australia has a lot of nature that might kill you. Be careful. Speaking of the Shimanami, you've got the Imabari cycling terminal. Can you just give the viewers an idea of what the cycling terminals do along the route?
Sure, that's a great question. Most people access Imabari by train. So right next to JR Imabari Station, they've just built this really good cycling station. They have a shower room. They have big bathrooms for changing. They have, I believe they have a Yamato Black Cat station to send your bike on to wherever you came from, like if you're going back to Tokyo. And it's right there. It's visible. It's really easy to use, and you can just hang out there and eat your lunch, and it really, really helps local cyclists. Onomichi's had it on the other side for quite a while, but finally they have one on the Imabari side.
That's great. It's great to see high quality cycling stops where people can shower and eat and get a rental cycle if they wanted to, or have that extra support. I think that brings a lot more people into cycling the route. That's for sure.
Sure. It's just anything we can do to help cyclists, international or local cyclists, to just to have a better, to make it more useful.
Yeah, for sure. Uh-oh, you froze. Are you there? Are you there? Okay, good. We have 8 more minutes. One of the things that I think is really fun, you were an entrepreneur doing a bunch of different like eateries and stuff. So I imagine as a part of the cycling services that you offer, you also have a very good perspective on the best places to eat around the tour. And you understand that backside. Is that true?
Yeah, I think a little bit. Yeah, I was not a fine dining. I did not run fine dining places, so I struggle a little bit to really know where the fine dining places are. But you can, as a former owner, you can kind of see the restaurant, and even if you've never eaten it, you kind of feel out that it's whether it's at least interesting or not.
Yeah.
I try to bring people to interesting places that maybe offer like wild boar dishes, or you know, the shojin ryori, the vegetarian stuff and the vegan stuff that the Buddhist monks eat. Some of the older Australian guys don't like the vegan stuff, but they're like, "What do you mean there's no meat?" But yeah, I do try to do that. Thanks for mentioning that. And it just gives a better experience, because we found that the people doing the 88 temples alone basically eat at convenience stores because they don't know. Like, for example, the open and close sign is that curtain, the noren. And if the curtain's there, they're open. And if it's not, it's closed. But if you don't know that, you struggle, right?
I hear that so often of visitors to Hiroshima, that they might just come for a half day because they don't realize how much is available here, even non-cycling tourists. And they'll just eat at convenience stores. And that's so sad for them. But it's also really sad for the local area, because there's very little benefit to people just coming in and out and eating at convenience stores, right? Like if you just try some of the local eateries, it makes a big difference. But like you said, it's really hard to know where to go and which place is open, and like being able to enter and find a seat. It's a bit daunting, right? So if you guys can give guidance on that, that really helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to put together a dining guide for cyclists, and I can just hand it to them, because that is something that they really, really struggle on. At least the Asian tourists, like Hong Kong, they share some of the same kanji, so they can get through a little bit better. But yeah, it's not easy to find the right restaurant.
Yeah. So I think cycling, enough good food to eat, and around Shikoku, you've got some great onsens and sentos as well, so people can have a nice bath before or after they cycle, before if they've got stiff enough muscles to get going, right?
Yeah, sure, sure. Those are all great things about Shikoku.
Yeah. Tina says, please do that. It would be great. So if you have like a restaurant insider's guide that you could give people that book your tours, that would be a great service for sure.
Yeah, and if you come on us with a guided tour, that's one of the great ones that we know where to eat, and 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 just make it easier. And some people worry about selection, so we try to find places with a lot of things. Those izakaya type restaurants are great, because they have numerous things, so you can kind of please everyone.
That's awesome. And of course, during coronavirus must have been really tough for you guys, like anybody in the tourism industry. But we're hoping by next autumn that we'll start seeing inbound visitors again. Have you guys been able to transition at all to some domestic travelers?
Yes, the last weekend we had some expats from Kobe, but yeah, it has been a struggle. But luckily, our group tours have all agreed to slide to next year. So if if Japan does open up around April, like they've been talking about, we should be very busy next year because luckily retirees have time. So, but yeah, it's been a rough year. It's been difficult. So we've had to find other work. I do have some other side work that I do, but the cycling industry has been really tough this year.
Yeah, for sure. What I suggest when I do consulting to destinations is that now there is no inbound tourism, but it's a great time to practice some of your inbound tourism products or services with domestic tourists. So try to invite people who are international residents in Japan or even Japanese visitors. That you can try to apply the same kind of service or product that you're thinking for the inbound market, but practice it with locals, make it a discounted one, and think of it as a kind of training time or planning time. And then when inbound tourism opens again next year, we'll be ready to go.
Yes, that's a great idea. I've done 6 or 7 of those this year for Japan Rail has done a few. Anabuki Travel in Takamatsu has done a few because they're trying to make new travel products. And also, the travel industry was based around buses. There's a lot of bus tours, and after COVID, that's going to be difficult. So they're trying to get out in nature, get on a bicycle, go for a walk, take the train and then walk. And those kind of outdoor products are something that I really think are the future of travel and tourism.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even leisure for domestic tourists, right? Like instead of going inside and watching something, go outside and be more sporty, enjoy the outdoors. It's a perfect next step of tourism thing after COVID, I think. We
Yeah,
have
I believe.
a comment from Marianne. Maybe include the kanji for women and men in your information from someone who walked into the men's bath long ago. That's so true. Usually, if you follow the red color, it's for women, and the blue or green colors for men is also a nice hint. But yeah, make sure you learn the woman or men kanji before coming to Japan. It's very handy.
That's a great one. That's a hard one. Even I sometimes when it's a very stylized kanji, I even
Yeah.
have to look at it twice.
Yeah, yeah. Or ask someone. You can say, "Me in here? Is it okay?" And then the
Also,
locals would be like, "No, no," or "Yes, yes," right?
so if you go to the same onsen 2 days in a row, and sometimes they flip the sides.
Yeah, tricky. William Turner says, "Do you have any good mountain bike routes in Shikoku? So any
Uh,
trails good for mountain
that's
bikes?"
good. That's a good question. There's a trail route on the top of a mountain ridge called the Super Lindo with an R. But it's originally a logging route, and that is hundreds of kilometers long. Super lindo. That's a good question.
Yeah, good question. Tina says, interesting to note that Qantas is listing airfares to Japan from April, not prior. A bunch of people here just ready to roll as soon as the gates open and the government lets us leave. And I think also being allowed to come into Japan at the moment, no international tourists are allowed in Japan, only working visas, I believe, and international permanent residencies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think now that there has been some progress in the vaccine, I'm thinking by next summer when the Olympics do happen, that we'll start seeing Japan open up more to international tourists. I'm not sure about next spring. I think it might be a little bit soon, but fingers crossed, it could start
Well,
happening.
fingers crossed. We're fully booked right now. We're fully booked for April and May.
Oh, wow. Okay. Fingers crossed for you guys.
Yeah, we really hope that goes down. But if it doesn't, we'll just adapt and keep moving forward. But I'm not giving up on this. I really believe in cycling in Japan is a great way. It's a safe country, you know.
Yeah. It's a wonderful way to see Japan and a wonderful way to see Shikoku. So I'm really glad that you and Reiko are doing such a great job there. Thank you so much for all your good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for joining today. That's our hour. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., we have Paprika Girl. We're talking about autumn kimono culture in Japan and tea ceremony culture. So she has some great insights. Hopefully, see you tomorrow. Have a great week. Thanks so much, Norman.